Welcome back, Stupid Fast Nation. How are you guys doing today? 1 second real quick. There we go. Much better, guys. So no, I am not here to talk about the coronavirus, the epidemic in our country right now, or pandemic, whichever you want to prefer. I just thought it would be a funny little spiel to throw a mask on in the video since everybody's going haywire over this virus right now. Legitimately, if you guys want information on that, head over to CDC, the main CDC website. They provide tons of information, accounted for deaths, whole 9 yards and all that stuff. I'm not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Hellstang. So guys, Project Hellstang Part 3 is underway right now. I think today what we're gonna do is work on the interior. We're gonna go ahead and get that cleaned up. I'm going to assess where the carpet is, where to put the wiring in. I have some of that written down on one of my papers on the workbench. I gotta dig that out real quick. And then I'd like to carry the wiring harness down from upstairs, start placing that in the car, maybe get the center console in, get the seats ready. I'd like to get the steering wheel hooked up and then work on the brake system. I think for today though, we'll focus on wiring, center console, probably get the steering wheel in, something like that. And then we'll check it out when it's all done. Now, I have a long way to go till the entire interior is done. But yeah, so that's where I'm at right now. I did make a final decision. All you guys were super supportive on the actual video, saying that you really would like to see the Hellcat go in this thing. So let's take a look. So yeah, guys, you can see here, there's a decent amount of room to stick the Hellcat in. We might have to work with some of this stuff up here to be able to fit that monster motor and transmission and everything. I don't know how it will fit down the tunnel yet or how much hood clearance there will be, but I do know that we will get that baby to fit. I looked at Ferrari motors, Viper motors, Hellcat motors, Demon motors. I mean, the list goes on. Old school Chevy, new school Chevy, Ford motors, all kinds of different motors. I really, for a while, was looking for an IndyCar motor to throw in this thing, but then I was like, well, that's kind of on the expensive side. So we're going to stay away from, you know, $40,000 IndyCar or Ferrari motors, etc., etc., etc. We're going to go with the Hellcat. We can pick up a used Hellcat drivetrain for like 10 grand. It's going to take me a little bit to save up for it, but I think it'll be well worth it. I've read tons of articles. There's a bunch of little things you can do to get well over 1,000 wheel horsepower out of a Hellcat engine. You know, tuning, putting a water-cooled setup on the supercharged with the ice box and things like that. So I did a bunch of reading on that stuff already. I think we're good to go there. I see some guys are pushing these things upwards of 1,300 wheel horsepower out of a stock Hellcat motor, and they're taking the abuse. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shut up. Let's get working on the Hellstang, guys. It's like having a bad hair day. Check this out. So yeah, guys, this is all the wiring for the 2015 Mustang. I was able to separate it into two different wiring harnesses, basically inside the car and then also inside the engine bay. I guess you would consider outside the cabin of the car. But realistically, this is a ton of wiring to install. I don't know how much of it I'll get done tonight, but my goal is to at least get inside the cab done, but it is a lot. There's a lot of things that go inside by the seats and like hold all the wiring in place. There's trays, I mean, just the wiring is endless on this thing. So yeah, anyways, steering wheel's in, let's get cracking on the wiring. Also, I want you guys to keep in mind, I actually uninstalled this wiring about 2.5 years ago out of the original wrecked 2015 car, out of the original Mustang that it came out of. So yeah, alright, let's see if I can try and remember how it goes back in.
To see you're the honest I'll ever be. I'm so sorry I never stayed. Overreact and just walk away. Take me back to the place I know. I have the power to let things go. I'm so lost I can't see the shore. You know what that means, we've been here before.
Right. Alright guys, so I know what you're thinking. How on earth does he know where any of this wiring goes? Well, number one, I have a lot of experience dealing with wiring and things of this general nature, so it comes easily to me. But where did I start at for a beginner who wants to do something like this on their own? Well, I can make this very, very simple for you guys. Check this out. So I don't know how easily in the video you can tell, but there's a blue piece of electrical tape there. There's also a blue piece there, and then on the driver's side, there is a green strip here, and I had another one back here. What I was doing with the green and the blue strips, I did that on my own. When I took this apart 2 years ago, I had a whiteboard in the old garage that we had where we built the Banshee and whatnot. When I put those on there, I did that to identify which side of the car, because the wiring harness is kind of a big Y, and it goes to each side and then goes to the back of the car, and then there's the under the dash stuff. So basically what I'm doing now is I went back through my pictures on my phone, because I took a picture of the whiteboard where I labeled each side, blue on the passenger side, green on the driver's side. That made it easier for me. I knew that I wasn't putting the wiring harness in for a long time down the road, so I labeled that way ahead of time, beat myself to it. And then also, here's another good tip for any beginner. So what you'll notice here, okay, is there's all kinds of clips and other things of that nature, like this guy here. He goes over top of a bolt that is on the frame, and the same here. I have this guy on the wiring harness here that is going to go in place of where this guy was. So this is from the old wiring harness that they took out and sold, and then this guy is going to go right in its place. So basically what I'm going to do here is follow the path, right? So same thing, like you see the natural bend in the wiring harness, this guy wants to go up here. So this is probably for like anything in the center console, airbag unit, anything like that. You see this big plug here? I kind of remember when I removed the center console, there was a big module underneath of that. So when we take this off, we'll put the module and everything, we'll find where the bolt holes are. And we kind of just follow the length of wiring. Like you see I left all the pins and everything on it. All we do is follow the path, right? So we keep going here, we keep going here. We see there's a pin here, right? Where does he go? Where would the easiest place be in this general range for this plug to go, right? You can see the natural bend wants to follow the steel of the car. And you can see there's a hole right here. So this guy's probably gonna go in here. So yeah. And then obviously these, for the gas tank and the fuel pump and fuel sending unit, they go over top of those big holes there, and that was very easy to trace. So knowing that blue goes on the passenger side, right, and I know that the big unit up there in the front bolts up to the front right of the car, it was very easy to trace that back. Put that here, follow the wiring. There's going to be little stuff that's kind of difficult, like figuring out where the airbag sensor's attached to the frame and stuff. I don't have any reference pictures or anything like that, which I normally do take like reference pictures of everything as I'm taking it apart, but I was kind of in a rush to get out of the old garage, so that's kind of why I tore it all apart real fast. guys. So steering wheel's in. We got a bunch of wiring in the car. So you can see here, this little majestic gem is all tightened in. Most of the dash is still kind of loose around the car here. So I did put 2 bolts in this side just to kind of stabilize it, but I need to keep it loose because if I remember correctly, there's a couple wires that go through the dash that I gotta tighten in there yet. But as you can see, most of the wiring is completed. We got these done here. Those got to go up the bottom of the dash. We got that side done. We got the gas tanks in. Well, I should say the gas tank pieces that go in. We got most of this up here. And then we got the stuff ran back there for the stereo, the subwoofer right here behind me. But that stuff I can just put in later. There is a couple other little things I have to do inside the interior, but I'm out of GoPro life. But also we have the wiring harness up under the engine bay we're gonna do. So I'm probably gonna get 1,000 questions on how am I gonna wire this car when I'm doing a Hellcat swap. And the answer to that is you have to separate the car's harness from the engine's harness. So I'm gonna run the whole harness, which will run the car itself, like the lights, the power seats, power windows, everything like that, turn signals, everything except for the engine and transmission. And then the engine and transmission will go separately. They'll get their own power source off the battery, a fuse link obviously, and then that will just all be powered separate. It's real easy to do that. I actually did that on the Fox here, right behind me, or right behind you I should say. This is a stock Fox body, well not stock anymore, but you get the idea. Stock wiring harness for the lights and everything. But the engine has its own separate wiring harness from the chassis electrical. They don't combine at all. It gets its own separate power source from the battery that goes to the starter and alternator, and then the fuel system and everything like that is on its own switch panel. So that's all separate from the chassis of the car. The chassis runs its own lighting system, and then we have the engine and everything separate, and it's got the Turbo 400 in it, so it doesn't need any wiring for that obviously. So yeah, you guys get the idea. It's really not that difficult. It's just retracing the wires, putting everything in, hoping to God that nothing is crushed or broken or anything like that, because it'll be a nightmare trying to troubleshoot this thing. As you can see, there's literally a spider web of wiring in this thing. But yeah, anyways, we're gonna call it quits there in this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give me that thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. And don't catch the coronavirus.